Hi, and welcome to another episode of Bespoke Architects Daily Pinup. I'm Nicole Walters, Director of Bespoke Architects, and I'm about to show you what inspiring architectural images made our Pinterest boards today. It was quite a diverse mix of things that caught my eye on the emails today. I'll just take you through them from the top left as usual. This little house here, it was the fence. It's quite an interesting way to do fencing. It's translucent, but also at the same time quite high and unscalable, and obviously has a giant Alsatian on the other side. But quite an interesting way to do a fence, so that's why it made the board. And then this image here, I actually pinned it for the guttering and the downpipe. So we can see the overflow pops coming through from that roof behind. This here appears to be a fascia gutter, and then from that we can see the downpipe on the angle there. So that was just quite an interesting way to do a gutter, not your standard way. So that's why that has made the gutter board today. This Perspex vanity has made the bathroom board. That's a really lovely way to do it. I don't know how the Perspex would go with mold, particularly in the corners, unless they were welded rather than corked. But anyway, interesting idea. This little coffee shop, just their joinery, the glass shelves with the timber against the concrete was a lovely combination of materials. This project here had some really interesting uses of timber throughout, external and internal. So I pinned this. This is obviously a sunken lounge area. I can see the fridge in the background. We can see a staircase going off an upper level there. And then in between the two levels, we've got the steps down. Then we've got this feature timber screen. And on front of the feature timber screen, there's actually this storage unit as well with drawers in it. So I just thought that was a really lovely way to transition between the two spaces. And that joinery unit is sitting at floor level of the level above. So that's really interesting, and I quite like that as a design solution. Externally, we can see it clad here from the street view with that translucent sheeting, and then the oversized entry to the smaller door there. That was a really lovely combination of materials. And then a different view of it, we can see the way they've broken up that sort of really large expanse. It's obviously on a sloping site, so the potential for that to be a really tall sheer wall has been broken up again with that sort of timber screen look, the windows, and then the introduction of a product like your bare stone or an unpainted FC sheet of some sort, and the way that the lines all work with the windows, that's really lovely. And this project here, the Lantern Studio, it was just that, I really like this as an outdoor alfresco space, but I actually put it on the landscape elements board for these pot plants. So they've got all these built-in planter boxes, which I think is just adding nice light and texture to that outdoor living space. So that's why that one made the board. And then there is a view of it, another one with a timber screen that's beautiful, and then the way it transitions down that sloping site. And it's the translucency of that material that allow us to see the division between floors, and then the way that the screen follows the balustrade that's broken, so it's not a sheer line, that really helped to break up, I think, that wall volume as such. So I really like that as a solution to what is a rather tall parapet wall. This little apartment, it was their use of, it was the joinery in this image that caught my eye. So over on this wall here in the center to the shot at the rear, there's a glass bookcase. So we don't often see that, and I'm talking full glass bookcase. And then beyond that, in the hallway, there's this nice sort of white powder-coated steel coat rail, which I thought was really lovely as well. So I just really liked those two joinery pieces from that. And then again, we can see the robe solution in another room of that. It's the same sort of steel framed look. It has got some additional storage underneath the hanging portion of that. And then they've gone for that plywood single doors with the routed handles, and they obviously overlap and slide past each other. So I thought that was a really lovely solution. This modernist cafe had some really lovely lighting solutions in it, so that is why that has made the board today. I just really like the way the tracks all sort of run around, and then occasionally you'll get a light off a portion of it. I thought that was, visually something interesting to look at on a ceiling. The 165 house, for me, it was the way that it integrates with its landscape. I really liked in this one the al fresco. It's sort of underneath the cantilever. They play up the cantilever on this sloping site really well. So we can see it here. It creates this undercover sort of outdoor garden area, which is really, really lovely. The way they've used their structure means that it's not presenting as a sheer volume to the lower levels. It's actually got depth in that facade. This image here, we can see the way they've done the same sort of cantilevered trick of al fresco for car parking itself. And again, that sort of structural box that hangs above that is really lovely. And then this is looking sort of down this end of the driveway, looking back towards the driveway. So we're now at the driveway level. And just the use of landscape lighting there on dusk when this shot was taken, and the way that they've chosen to sort of highlight their materials, their driveway material, their feature wall material, the downlights above sort of highlighting these layered appearance in the facade. I thought that was really lovely and something worth considering, obviously, with all your architectural projects, is that lighting and how it's going to look both during the day in terms of the structure and during the night expressing that structure. So that was why that has made the board today. This little Lumipod, these glass curved panels actually retract back so that you're sleeping, if you will, in nature. There is a curtain that goes all the way around that. I just really liked the shape, I guess, and the fact that they were curved sliding doors was lovely, and the fact that they're floor to ceiling is sort of lovely and seamless when they're open. If you do click on that pin, it will take you to an article that'll show you the rest of the images of that particular Lumipod with the doors open and the curtains across instead. This project here, it was just that curved roof shape that I really liked. It's quite a long rectangle space. Again, it's got the glazed end to the pod, which I really like, but it is that curved roof that caught my eye. This project, it was the cladding material. It's just seamless. You can't even see a fascia gutter, and the floor, the wall rather, and the roof material all appear to be the same. And I don't mind how they've mixed up their gable with their parapet at that end, and we can see a chimney there. So just a really nice sort of use of material and layout of form. This farmhouse installation is just incredible. It's actually a historic building, and they've done this really rather contemporary fit out in it. And what caught my eye is these floating sort of timber stairs that come out of that upper floor. And then the way they've introduced these angles for that kitchen splashback, we can see the kitchen tap there, and beyond that is the staircase up to the upper level. And then we've got this skylight flowing down that sheer wall as well. So it is a really contemporary installation in a very traditional farmhouse, and I really enjoyed the way they played with form and their material palette inside. This residence here, I pinned it purely to show, like, this is obviously an operable wall or a door system, and just the sheer number of tracks that are required to retract such an expanse of glass. So you can see just the sheer volume, and that's without fly screens, just the number of leaves that requires. So it's just something to keep in mind when you approach your architect and you're talking about the design that you want to achieve, and you're talking about moving all these walls back and how that actually reads in the ceiling space itself and on the floor spaces as well. You've got this really rather wide section of tracking that needs to happen on both of those locations. So just something to keep in mind when discussing that sort of solution with your architect. That's everything from today's pinup. I will leave you with the image of the Bespoke House 4 golf course house as seen from the 14th tee down at Curlewis there, Conowari rather. It is a beautiful shot showing this front timber-clad living, dining, kitchen pod with the master pod behind, and we can see that beautiful big window from the master bedroom juts out beyond that front pod and gives them a beautiful view, not only of the golf course, which is behind them, but then beyond that is the sand dunes to 13th Beach. So just a really lovely image of my own project to end on today. Once again, thank you very much for joining me on another episode of Bespoke Architects Daily Pinup. I am Nicole Walters, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Until then, take care. Thanks. Bye.